Swatch number 28 is Moire Taffeta, which is an excellent example of an unbalanced plain weave. This one here is made of 100% acetate and is one of the few examples of acetate in our kit. Acetate is almost always going to be seen as, let's get balance spelled right here, seen as a filament yarn because that's basically its real beauty. Acetate is one of the cheapest fibers known to man and is inflicted on people that brides claim to love, i.e. their bridesmaids, even though it's a fiber that can almost hardly be cared for after it is worn. You can hear the derision in my voice. Go to a department store and buy a real dress. Don't participate in the bridal industrial complex, which as far as I'm concerned is just organized crime. This particular swatch, the Moire Taffeta, is created by embossed calendaring that flattens the ribs of the unbalanced plain weave. We'll look at it in just a minute. So we'll be able to see and actually hear the filling ribs. As I mentioned before, this is used in bridal wear and also in drapery. You know, I don't know, for your bordello or other sort of fancy designs. So can you see the characteristic watermark, right? And you can also see the ribs on the surface. Can you hear the sound that it makes? Right? And so these this watermark was made because the ribs were flattened, and sometimes they collapsed in one direction and sometimes they collapsed in the other. So this is genuine moire. The design is not printed, it's inherent to the ribbing of the fabric. Shantung is swatch number 29. This shantung is 100% silk. That's what it means to be shantung. It is made with a filament warp, and the filling in uses a novelty slub yarn, and it is also an unbalanced plain weave. And in this case, it's unbalanced not because more warp yarns are crammed in during weaving, but because the filling yarns are so much larger. The slubs mean that it has irregular ribs. I just have to ignore my spelling here. I'm doing my best. And shantung is used usually for women's wear. So in this case, we'll look at the shantung and we'll also be able to see the ribs. And can you see the slubbed yarns that occur occasionally? This is just like the Moire Taffeta, a reversible fabric, which makes it nice for apparel. Another example of an unbalanced plain weave is this poplin. The poplin is here made from 65% polyester and 35% cotton, which means we simply know it's a spun yarn. So unbalanced plain weave, yet another example. And as previously, while it is piece dyed, we know that it must be union dyed in order to get a single color. This particular swatch has a permanent press finish, and that is partly how it has such a nice crisp hand. The permanent press also improves its resiliency, so it now has a moderate resiliency, making it good for use in things like shirts and pants. It's very popular for scrubs. So if you take a feel on your swatch here, the poplin, right, you'll see that first of all, we don't see any distinctive ribbing on the surface, simply that more warp yarns than filling yarns. Here are the warp yarns. I was looking at the edge of the warp yarns. The filling yarns all go up and down this way, and the warp yarns go that way. And if we took this apart, we'd see more in one direction.